to another STEM with Miss Dubois video. Today we're going over how to use the rigid joint infusion. Alright, so let's go over how to use the rigid joint or how to insert a rigid joint into Fusion. The first thing that you're going to do is insert components into your design that you are going to connect. And the way to do that is by inserting components, because yes, you do need components to make a joint, because a joint is how things move or are connected in relation to each other. So the first thing that you're going to do is find in your upper left hand corner your show data panel or data panel, and it has 9 squares in like a grid type form. You're going to click that, and you're going to click which things you want to connect, which components, which models of yours that you want to connect. And now I'm going to right click this, insert into current design. You might be able to drag that in. You can, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You press enter if you don't want to move it. I don't want to move that. And now I'm going to right click this, and I'm going to click insert into current design. And now I'm actually going to rotate this, right? And there's a couple of ways to rotate this, right? You could leave it like this and then move it, or you can just rotate it from the jump. So I'm going to rotate it from the jump, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And this will help me with my snap points, which I'll explain in a little bit in the video, or actually probably right about now. Now, to insert a joint or to insert specifically a rigid joint in Fusion, it's the same process. So actually, fun fact, a rigid joint is just a type of joint. So to insert a joint in Fusion is the same exact step and method as a rigid joint. It's just a little bit nuanced with the specific types of joints. But all joints have the same starting process. In other words, basically inserting any type of joint or putting in any type of joint in Fusion all has the same setup. They just might have a little bit different nuances per the different joints, which is why I have different videos. Now, if you do not know how to insert a component or what a component is in Fusion, I will have a video linked below going over that more in detail, because it is really important that you understand components for understanding how to use joints in Fusion. All right, enough of that. Let's go into actually how to do this. So you're going to click assemble, you're going to click joint, and you're going to find the snap points. A snap point is basically in your model where they connect. So if I want my snap point to be here and here, I'm going to click those because that is where they will touch and, for a rigid joint, be glued together in the model. Okay, so I'm going to click here. And now I'm going to click. And I have to be very, very careful with this because this has been really annoying before. And I'm going to click right there. And I see that it's rotated really wonky. So I'm going to fix it. Now, I actually already have a rigid joint here. And the reason why I know that is because of this symbol. Each joint in Fusion has a specific symbol, right? So, for a rigid, it looks like that. And to double check that, all you have to do is go to motion. So you have position, and then you have motion here. Once again, all joints have the same setup. Just specific joints have specific nuances to them. And that's why, once again, there's separate videos on them. So the type, I want rigid, so I'm going to click rigid. But if I wanted revolute, I would click revolute. But this video is specifically for rigid. But same thing for slider, I would go to slider. And notice how they each have their own little icon. That's really important for you to understand, because that will kind of help you and give you a little bit of a cheat sheet as to like which joint you're looking at from here, because if I click it here, it changes to right here. But yeah, so essentially, if it's not on the rigid joint, you simply go to motion and you click rigid. So let's just say I was on revolute for whatever reason. And when you do it, you go to motion, you click type, and you click rigid. Or you can go right here, and then let's just say it's on slider. You click right here, you click rigid. Once again, these talk to each other and they're going to match up, and it's just whichever way works best for you. Now, my position is, I think, perfect, but if I didn't like the position, I could always tweak it. I could always make it go in, I can make it go out. It just depends. And that's where you go to position to edit and use these arrows and rotational ball things to fix. But yeah, and that's how you add a rigid joint in Fusion. You're going to notice in a lot of my other joint videos that the setup for all of these joints, as I've mentioned again, are the same, because all you do is you go to assemble, joint, and then you work on the joint. And then when you're done, you click OK. So let me show that process again in case you didn't see it and actually was talking over it. So I'm going to click edit joint in my timeline. I make sure everything's nice and pretty or the way I want it. So I have the rigid joint. I can tell by the icon right here. I click OK because I'm done, and I'm done. And that's how you add a rigid joint in Fusion. I'm actually going to do that again for practice, for in case y'all are confused or you got lost in my explanation. So let me do that one more time. So I go to the upper left-hand corner. I click Show Data Panel. I right-click Insert into Current Design. I drag this over. I click X because I don't need that thing. I click, I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. Now I'm going to click Assemble. I'm going to click Joint. I'm going to click this backspace right here because I want it on a specific part of my model. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to snap this piece of my component. I know it's a rigid joint because of this, but if I wanted to go to motion, I can click Type, Motion, and I can change the motion. But for this, I'm going to click rigid because I want a rigid joint. I'm going to go to position. I'm going to move it in so to where I want it to be. And there I go. I have my rigid joint as proven by this symbol here, confirming that it's a rigid joint, and the words below confirming it's a rigid joint. I click OK because I'm done. And there I have it. I have a rigid joint. Now, total side note, this was a gift for someone in my family that I made. I'm not affiliated with Nintendo or Mario. I simply was just trying to make this for my family member. I do not have a video on how to make this, and there will not be a video on how to make this because this took me a long time and I probably could not do it justice of how to explain it because it was a very tedious process. But that's a side note. Anyways, that's how to use the rigid joint in Fusion. And yeah. That was another STEM with Miss Dubois video where we learn how to use the rigid joint in Fusion. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day and a great life. Bye!